What's that?
I'm measuring the
okay,
light
gotcha.
here. Excuse
Okay.
me.
You
Oh,
wanna
go,
sit
sure.
down? Yeah, that's okay.
Read this, Daniel. Tell me how much omega-3 is in there. I can't read it. You see it?
230 milligrams.
Of total omega-3?
You can take a picture of it and blow it up with your phone. That
I need to
works,
know
too.
how many omega-3s are in it. Or let's go online and find out.
There's so little you can't see
I
it.
can't read it at all. We need to get a bigger bottle. I gotta help them with this.
It makes the customer angry.
Yeah, we need a bigger bottle. I gotta talk to Tejas about getting more omega-3s in there. I need at least 500 milligrams. You see it? How much is in there?
It says 230 mgs.
Is that EPA and DHA?
So
Here, let me look it up real quick.
started on the
Let me. Okay, let's see.
As soon as the doc backs up, I'll focus.
Testing 1, 2, 3. How's my sound? Am I okay?
Okay, thanks, Daniel. There you go. Oh, this hurts.
Do you guys have pillows, or do you need pillows?
Nope, we got them. She went and got them. Thank you.
They got them.
Do you have your phone, Don?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yep.
Let me call Kyle, see where he is. He gets distracted.
He does.
Forgets we're videoing.
I know. This is nature. I thought you brought yours.
It's in the other room. My phone rings all the time,
Yeah,
so
no,
it's,
mine never rings.
yeah.
Should have called him this morning.
Ah.
Oh, I need the book Beyond Keto. And Keto Zone, and I need the recipe book. Yeah, good. Okay.
Mary, while we may.
Yeah, good, good, good.
Hey, Kyle, we're filming. We'll probably be here at least till 1 o'clock. Just want to let you know, I think you wanted to come.
Tell him we need to do the Keto Zone. Here, text him, text him.
I just did. It just transcribed. He'll get it.
He's forgotten.
Yeah, he's doing something. He does a lot of his work in the middle of the night.
To me, it feels like she's a lot of open space and camera left. Are you good with this?
where it's hairs is like on both sides. Could be brushed back.
Oh,
by
yeah.
like the front of your head, your forehead.
Oh, your forehead left. There you go. There you go.
Right. They said it's better.
Okay, good.
Not the back, your front. It's falling down on your forehead. It's good.
Okay, I'm rolling tape now.
Okay.
One's on.
Hello, I'm Mary Colbert, and welcome to Dr. Colbert's Divine Health Matters. Today we are going to be talking about a topic that really everybody is very familiar with, but there's a lot of confusion because of this. Whenever you go on the internet, you Google, you search, and this guy says this, and this guy says that. Well, we've got the authority here. I'm going to tell you, I say this with all absolute confidence. My husband has been studying this for years, this topic for years and years and years, and he's been implementing it in his practice, in his practices with his patient. So today we're going to be talking about getting you in the keto zone. There is a zone, and so many people have tried the keto diet, and they've had all kinds of problems with it, one reason or another. And mainly because they're not getting the right advice. But Don is going to clarify it today. My husband, Don, I'm excited about this topic. You're going to clarify.
It's very exciting. Mary, I've been recommending a healthy keto zone diet now for almost 25 years.
I know.
And
You're the keto man.
Well, I've been myself following between keto or keto zone and healthy Mediterranean, because with keto zone, if you stay on it long term, it's the healthiest diet along with the Mediterranean diet that there is, but you can lose too much weight.
Right.
So my weight got a little too low, and so I had to switch over to Mediterranean, and I still go in and out of keto zone because, again, certain times I need better, brain clarification. It helps my brain focus, brain clarity, mental clarity. And so when you're in the keto zone, it's the best state to be in.
Okay, to kind of set the stage for those that are watching, and thank you for watching. I think you're going to get a lot out of this program. What do you consider someone's weight, male and female, age or whatever, that keto would probably work the best with? Because it doesn't work with everybody. I noticed that.
Well, again, if people are overweight.
And what's overweight?
Overweight is a BMI of 25 to 29.9, or obese with a BMI, body mass index, of over 30, then the keto zone or nutritional ketosis, a healthy keto diet, is the best thing for you to be in to lose the weight and keep the weight off.
And so tell us what you think the BMI, a healthy BMI for the average person.
Realize that about 41.7% of Americans are obese with a BMI over
30.
30.
Yeah.
But there's 30% that are overweight. So almost 75% of Americans are either overweight or obese. And that's why we're seeing so much diabetes. We have about 50% of Americans are pre-diabetic or diabetic.
Right.
So when you're obese or overweight, it leads eventually to insulin resistance, pre-diabetes, and type 2 diabetes eventually. So again, that's what's happening, and we're getting all the health disasters we're seeing with heart disease, with plaque buildup in the arteries, with high blood pressure, with type 2 diabetes, with insulin resistance, with so much heart disease, fatty liver, and other diseases that all spawn off from being overweight, obese.
So you like to see women's BMI around 28?
Ideally, less than 25
Oh,
is ideal.
okay.
Anything
men?
25 or greater, you're overweight. You're headed toward obesity. For men, again, it needs to be less than 25. Ideally, around 22. If you want ideal, is around 22 BMI.
No matter what the age?
Yes.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Would this be true for people that are early 20s and all
Yes,
the way up to people
absolutely.
in their 80s?
Absolutely. My healthiest patients are the ones with a BMI right around less than 25 that are older.
And so
Now, again, older people can carry a little bit more weight, but again, for ideally to prevent disease, you want to keep your BMI less than 25.
Okay. What is the one thing about keto? The one thing. I know this is hard for you because there's so many. What is the one thing you like most about the keto diet?
Well, what I find with the keto diet is it reverses, it helps patients to reverse so many diseases that I find.
It does.
It does. Now, again, you say, how does it do that? Because when you lower your sugar, carbs, and starches, and you start to burn fat as fuel. See, what the keto zone is it's a metabolic shift from burning sugar as your fuel to burning fat as your fuel. And it's clean fuel. But it's best to have healthy fats, because when you have healthy fats in your diet, instead of unhealthy fats like deep fried foods or like trans fats or excessive saturated fats, that invites disease into the body. But when you have clean, healthy fats like extra virgin olive oil, high polyphenol olive oil, cold pressed avocado oil, macadamia nut oil, almonds, nuts, seeds, things like this. These are good, healthy fats that do not trigger inflammation in the body. But the greatest thing I see with the keto diet is people shift from burning sugar as fuel to burning fat, and then they start to lose weight. And weight gain is the key problem that we have with causing so many. It's the main, it lights the fuel for most every disease in the body is weight gain, especially belly fat. Belly fat is especially inflammatory to the body. The more belly fat you have, you know what happens? Generally, the higher your risk of heart disease. The more belly fat raises C-reactive protein. C-reactive protein is a cytokine that constricts the arteries and leads to high blood pressure and more inflammation. Inflammation is the root cause of most every disease, and that's what belly fat does. The more belly fat, generally, the more inflammation and the more disease you're going to have.
Wow. Do you find that people who really do the keto diet, we're talking keto.
Right.
I know you've written a book about Beyond Keto because you know that there's a point where you like people to shift over to Beyond Keto. But let's say for those that are just doing the keto diet, do you find that their appetite is suppressed?
Well, we call it the keto zone diet because once you're in that keto zone, you're in the fat burning zone. It's a state of nutritional ketosis in which your body shifts from burning sugar as its primary fuel to burning fat as the primary fuel. And the fat that the body typically burns first is belly fat, the most toxic fat that's associated with inflammation.
So do you see appetite suppressed?
Yes.
If you're doing it correctly?
Yes, Mary, the keys to the keto zone, what I see is number one, appetite is suppressed. Appetite is triggered by two key appetite hormones. Number one is leptin. And leptin literally tells the brain that you're full and satisfied. But when you're insulin resistant, or if you're a female and your waist measurement is 35 or greater at your belly button or navel, or a man, if your waist measurement is 40 or greater at your navel, you're insulin resistant. And when you're insulin resistant, leptin doesn't work. So you are prone to have a runaway appetite. And so anyone that's insulin resistant, which is a belly fat, more belly fat, is usually leptin resistant. So leptin doesn't work. So one of your key hormones that tells your brain you're full is not working, so you're wanting to continually snack. But the good news is once you reverse the insulin resistance by getting in the keto zone, by taking some omega-3 fats, about 500 milligrams a day, by exercising and getting adequate sleep, you reverse leptin resistance and your appetite starts to shut off again. The other key hormone, appetite hormone, that needs to be controlled is ghrelin. Now, when your stomach is empty, ghrelin, like the gremlin.
It sounds like a gremlin.
It sounds like the gremlin. But the other key appetite hormone, see, when your stomach is empty, your body secretes ghrelin. Your stomach secretes ghrelin hormone, and it's the hunger hormone. It tells the brain you're hungry, so you want to eat, eat, eat. So the key to the keto zone diet is when you're eating lots of fats, you stay satiated for 8 hours or more.
Now, fat, when you say that, my mind goes, well,
Healthy
wait a
fat.
minute.
Now,
Okay.
healthy fat.
All right.
Now, again, there's unhealthy fats
All right.
like trans fats, as well as deep fried foods like French fries. Those are very unhealthy fats, as well as lots of saturated fats. These are inflammatory fats like
And
lots
that'll
of
cause
butter.
hunger.
Well, again, butter, cream, cheese, that creates inflammation in the body. And inflammation can also lead to insulin resistance, which leads to resistance of leptin resistance, which causes runaway appetite.
Well, what do you think of these people taking coffee and putting butter in their coffee?
They're creating more problems down the road. Now, the good news is when they're doing that, if they're on a real low-carb diet, it doesn't cause near the inflammation. So, and especially if they're taking fish oil, at least 500 milligrams a day, it causes minimal inflammation. But what happens, they don't stay on the keto diet long term. They stay short term. They go back to eating carbs and sugars and starches. And when that happens, that mild inflammation goes to major inflammation.
Goes through the roof.
And so then they start developing all these inflammatory issues usually. And that's what I see in a lot of people that are on and off the keto diet.
Yeah, I've seen that. So they'll gain back the weight they
and
lost
more weight.
and more.
And that's why I like the keto zone. It's a state of nutritional ketosis. We're putting the right fuel mixture in. We're putting healthy fats. We're putting low carbs, real low carbs, green carbs, I call them, like vegetables, salads, green beans, as well as broccoli, cauliflower, asparagus, okra, as well as all the salad greens.
Now, you like for people to get these ketone strips so
Yes.
they can check
They can
their
check their urine.
Right.
Right.
That's how they know they were actually burning.
There are 3 ways to check it. There's
Okay.
urine strips are the easiest. There's the new keto meters that checks the blood for ketones. That's actually the most accurate to do long term.
What do you mean meters?
Yeah, there's a keto meter that you can get like you check your blood sugar. You can also
wow.
check your ketones in your blood.
I didn't know that.
So that's the most accurate. And then there's the breath analyzers that measure acetone or ketones in the breath. So there's 3 different ways to do it. The simplest, just check the urine.
Yeah.
Now, after a month or 2, most people know if they're in the keto zone or not.
and
because
if they're insulin resistant, it's going to take longer for that
yes,
to show up, isn't it?
If you're insulin resistant, it typically takes about 2 to 4 weeks to get in the keto zone.
See, and
So
I
it
think
takes
that's
long.
I think this is
Yeah.
important because then people do it for a week and they
right.
still don't see it and they get discouraged.
Well, that's why we have what we call keto zone supplements that keep them in the keto zone, like our MCT oil powder. And a lot of patients, now again, you got to be careful with MCT oil powder, usually a scoop a day. It only has 7 grams of saturated fat. And most people have to limit when you're in the keto zone, you want to limit your saturated fats to 10% of your total calories. And this is what separates the keto zone from all these other keto diets. They give you as many saturated fats as you want. So you go to your doctor and the doctors put you on statin meds because your cholesterol's through the ceiling. They come back and say your cholesterol 300. Let's put you on a statin drug.
Yeah, right.
But when you limit your saturated fats to only 10% or less, best or less, of your total calories, which if a woman is eating 2,000 calories a day, that would be approximately 16 grams of saturated fats a day is max. That's max.
That's it.
Now, our keto MCT oil powder only has 7 grams of saturated fats and it has 3 grams of fiber. So again, fiber helps lower cholesterol, but 7 grams is fine. So a scoop a day is fine for most people because you need some saturated fats in your body. But if you have high cholesterol, they recommend it you decrease your saturated fats to only 7.5% of your total calories or less. So again, some people, if they have high cholesterol, they may have to limit their, MCT oil powder to 1 scoop a day. Others can have 2 scoops a day, no problem.
Okay, now at the risk of sounding like a commercial here, it is in some ways. The reason why Don has developed this is to help people, and we know our products work. So that's why we recommend our products mainly. That's the truth.
Well, Mary, I didn't get to finish with the instant. What you're holding in your hand is not MCT oil powder, that's instant ketones.
Oh.
If you want to hack into the keto zone real quick,
Okay.
you take a scoop of that in water and you take it, and within about 30 minutes, you're in the keto zone. You're literally burning fat as your energy.
This is a lifesaver.
It's
the
huge.
instant ketones.
Instant ketones
It tastes amazing.
It's beta
Tastes like-
hydroxybutyrate. It's
tastes
got a
like
little salty
coconut.
flavor. It's got coconut.
Yep, but it's pretty
also
good.
we have
And
a
if
keto
I
enzyme.
like it, it's pretty good.
Just don't put it in your coffee like the MCT oil
right.
powder. You can put in coffee, but not that.
Okay, so this is after you've cheated, get yourself back into burning.
I call it your get out of jail free card.
It is, and it does work. But what I really liked, I remember when you first developed this product and you brought it to me.
This is
and
almost 10 years ago.
Yeah, and I put it in my coffee. I just remember sitting there
Amazing.
looking at you going, Don, you have done it. You have done it. This is the bomb right here.
I love the chocolate MCT oil powder.
We have several flavors, hazelnut, the mocha. You can make a mocha with Dutch chocolate in your, and takes your coffee and makes it mocha. But what's amazing is you're putting yourself in the keto zone with this.
And it stirs up real easy. We have that
And it
little coffee
dissolves.
frother, we
Yep.
just put it in there.
We have
and it
French
works
vanilla.
great.
My favorite
Hazelnut.
is the coconut.
Coconut cream.
I love the coconut cream.
My favorite's the chocolate.
Yep, isn't that funny?
Yeah, it's great.
What a
But
flip.
it makes any coffee taste amazing.
It
but again,
does.
with this, and a lot of my patients, they say, well, can I have it all day long? Well, again, I start my morning with keto coffee. Now, I don't drink excessive keto coffee because too much coffee can raise your homocysteine level, which affects your brain.
Right.
So I try and limit my coffee to 1 or 2 cups a
That's
day.
good. Me too.
And then, I just have usually a teaspoon or a scoop of the MCT oil powder in my coffee, and that's plenty for me.
Now, doing this in moderation will
Right.
keep you from going into high cholesterol.
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
That's what's important.
And this actually helps to raise the HDL or the good cholesterol.
It does.
Right. But again, if you're doing this and you're doing also butter and cheese and cream and excessive saturated fats, your cholesterol is going to go up. So again, I have to emphasize, 1 scoop a day is just 7 grams of saturated fats. That's less than 10% of the total. It's less than 5%, and you need usually at least 5% of your total calories of saturated fats to maintain the health of your cells.
Now, I
So
want to
that's
address
ideal.
a myth. There is a really big myth about keto, and that is you can eat whatever you want as long as it's keto. And and I remember back when you first started with this program, because you really have become known as the keto doctor. You introduced keto to the masses. You really did.
Years ago.
Years ago. And so people have really identified him as the keto doctor. He took it and ran with it. And so since he introduced it in a massive way, there's all kinds of keto that has followed since then.
But I would say,
remember-
Mary, 95% of keto diets are unhealthy. That's why I want to show what separates
That's why we're
them.
doing it.
Good.
That's exactly the reason we're covering this show, because there is so much confusion out there, and we want to take away some of the confusion. So I remember when you first introduced it to me, my life story is to everything there is a season. And I come in and out of season. I go into the season where I am obsessed with my weight, and then I go into a season that I don't really care.
She has like 3 wardrobes.
It's
Small
true.
Mary, medium Mary, large Mary.
It kind of depends upon what's going on in my life and how chaotic and crazy it is. And you can't even begin to know what that means. Okay. But I remember when you first introduced it to me, I had about 20, 25 pounds I really was frustrated with. And you put me on the program. And I remember after like 3 or 4 weeks or a month,
Right.
I was like,
Yeah,
done.
it's easy.
I'm not losing weight. I'm not losing weight. I was frustrated.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And I remember
You were
just-
insulin resistant.
No, it wasn't insulin resistant. That wasn't.
You're a
the
leptin
problem.
resistant.
I remember. You're so many years ago, you forgot.
Okay.
But I remember because I lived it. And one of the
Oh,
things
you're
he.
exercising.
No. I was exercising. I was doing all that.
Decrease your calories to 1,600.
There you go.
There you go.
So what happened? What was so funny is one of the things he introduced was these peanuts by Planters peanuts that were salted in vinegar. The salt and vinegar
Right, salt and
peanuts.
vinegar peanuts. that's
And
right.
they're keto. But
You're eating by the can.
I was eating them by the can. And
Carried them in your purse
yeah,
everywhere you went.
I mean, because man, it killed the appetite. It tasted great. I loved it. And I remember you just going, well, wait a minute, Mary, you need to understand. And this is the point I'm trying to make. It is not carte blanche with your calories.
Okay.
Now, you know what? The thing is, people hate that, to hear that.
Mary, you know what the average woman consumes calorically daily? You know,
About 3,000 calories.
2,000 to 2,400
Oh, that's
calories,
close.
average woman.
Yeah.
And you know what the average man consumes?
3,000 to 4,000.
2,400 to 3,600 calories a day.
I
Now, a
know
lot of
it's
men
more.
even
I know it's more. No, you take in way more than that sometimes. I sit and look at you and I think, how can he be this? Because he's an exercise fiend, you know. But, I mean, he does not miss his exercise.
I don't. 5 days a week.
He doesn't. So, I mean, he has to burn up chemicals, stress chemicals, probably a lot of stress chemicals from living with me. But anyway, what I remember, and this is the point I'm trying to make, folks, as much as you don't like to hear this, because people don't like to count calories, then that part really frustrates a lot of people. You got to. So you're going to have to keep a watch when you're doing this. Now, if you do both, if you incorporate watching your calorie with the keto, I want you to know the minute I had that aha moment, and he was like, well, Mary, how many of those cans of peanuts are you eating? I know, but it's keto. He goes,
You gotta watch your calories.
but you still have to keep watch with your calories. And I was probably eating about 3,000 calories a day with all the peanuts. So when I began counting and figuring, I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh,
my
Mary,
gosh.
remember when we'd go out and eat?
Yeah.
And we'd get the same type food, and you'd eat just the same portion sizes.
I ate as much as you because it was keto. I said, well, he's ordering for me and it's keto. And I was so frustrated. So I fully understand if you've been there and done that and gone through it. I just want to encourage you to try to re-look at this again and do it the right way. And once you do it the right way, Don, it does work.
Oh, it does
and
work.
It does work.
There's
and then
the
you're
keys
able,
to the keto is what we have.
You do.
Keys to the keto zone.
It is.
Now, again.
And Don has a book. It's called The Keto Zone Diet, and you can get this on our website, drcolbert.com. And so we're going to probably do a show on Beyond Keto next.
Well, this keto zone and Beyond Keto are like cousins to each
They're
other.
cousins, because what you have to do
This is for long-term
Right.
keto zone.
Yeah,
Or
'cause
Beyond Keto.
this is your life.
Yeah.
Right here, keto, this one right here, Beyond Keto, becomes your life. This is your life Bible on how you should be
That's
eating and,
right.
and as a guide. But it's still, you have to watch your calories. You do.
And these are some
And
quick
that's
and
important.
healthy keto recipes.
Right. So it doesn't give you a blank check to eat as much food as you want because it's keto, folks. And that's the point I want to make, because I've heard so many people, oh, I did keto, it didn't work, I gained weight, I lost weight, I didn't, I've heard it all. And I know we know what we're talking about here. And that is the primary reason is because people aren't taking also into account how much they're eating. So you got to do that. You got to do that. And Dawn has a great book. It's the Keto Zone Cookbook that you can get on our website. Great recipes, give you kind of an idea all over the place of all kinds of things that you can eat. My famous salmon recipes in here. So this will help you get to that goal weight. And then once you develop the taste,
Yeah, well, it's
it's amazing, Don.
Yeah, it is.
You know,
Go ahead and tell them.
after doing this about 2 or 3 months, you stay with it 2 or 3 months. It is amazing when you go to eat something else, how greasy something
Right.
tastes, or how sweet something tastes, and you really retrain your taste buds.
Well, also realize you're reversing insulin resistance.
Yep.
You're reversing leptin resistance. Your leptin starts to work again. It starts to shut your appetite off. And you get ghrelin, that little gremlin hormone that makes you, it's a hunger hormone. When your stomach's empty, that hormone causes the brain to go through a ravenous appetite. But that hormone's controlled because fat will keep you satisfied for 8 hours or longer.
I know, that's amazing.
And so again, this is a healthy keto zone diet. And like I say, 95% or more of the keto diets are unhealthy long term. What makes the keto zone diet healthy? Number one, we limit your saturated fats to less than 10% of your total caloric intake, less than 10%. Most people have way too much saturated fats. They're eating butter by the tablespoon.
Right.
They're eating blocks of cheese. They're eating lots of whole fat dairy. They're eating lots of coconut oil. They're putting coconut oil, which is high in saturated fats, in their they're cooking with that or putting it in their shakes. They're eating deep fried foods. It's one of the most inflammatory fats. They're also eating cuts of fatty meat full of saturated fats. And realize when you eat meat, they store their toxins in their fat. A lot of these are carcinogens in the fat of animals, and they're eating slabs of bacon, sausage, ham, steaks. The fattier the steak, the more they eat it, as well as ribs and brisket and pepperoni and salami. Processed meats are very unhealthy. They create nitrosamines, which are cancer causing.
Since you're talking about meats too, we just want to put out a warning to you about eating lab created meats.
Oh my, yes.
Don't do it. Don't do it. It's not going to be good for your
But
body.
also, whenever I eat red meat, like I had red meat yesterday, a little small filet, and so within an hour, I have my fiber zone, and we have the new lemon lime, lemon lime, which is amazing taste. A heaping scoop of this, and about 8 ounces of cold water.
Right.
Remember, fiber covers a multitude of dietary sins. Now, I don't
So
eat red meat,
when you're
but
on
rarely.
keto and you, like we went out last night with our daughter-in-law and son and all of our grandkids, and they brought some amazing desserts to the table. I was like, I'm not saying no. So, but following that, you go and you take your fiber immediately, and that binds up a lot of the sugar.
Bind up the saturated fats in the red meat and also the sugar.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
So again, what separates the keto zone, the healthy keto from the unhealthy keto? Well, number one, decrease saturated fats. Number two, increase fiber. We try and get, now again, the average person has only about 15 grams of fiber a day. And the Institute of Medicine recommends that females consume at least 25 grams of fiber, and men, you need 38 grams of fiber. Well, if you eat the veggies that we recommend, the berries for breakfast, a quarter cup a day, and then the fiber zone, you're going to be getting the fiber you need, which again helps the colon. It also helps lower cholesterol, lower fats, and lower sugar. As well as most diets don't have enough veggies. Most keto diets don't.
Right.
Most of the average Americans don't get enough veggies. That's why we recommend our green and red supreme food. Get an equivalent of about 4 antioxidant servings of veggies and almost 4 of fruits.
Let me show it to them. For those of you, it's right under your phone.
Oh, here it is. I didn't see it. There's your fruits, and here's your veggies. And again, they're low sugar, so they're keto. So you're getting your fruits and veggies. Now, do you know what vegetables most Americans consume? What would you
Potatoes.
get? Potatoes is the number one vegetables, but potatoes throws you out of the keto zone.
Yep.
Potatoes is a form of garbage. It's like garbage to the body. They're usually highly processed. They spike your blood sugar. You know what the second most common vegetables people consume? What would you think?
Tomatoes. but
Sweet
it's not
corn,
available.
sweet corn.
Sweet corn.
Sweet corn's number 2.
Wow.
Sweet corn is garbage. That's what we feed our hogs and cattle to fatten them up for market is
My
corn.
gosh. And
They're
we have-
corn fed.
We have so fattened ourselves up, haven't we?
And
with
you
the
know
corn?
what the number 1 fruit we consume?
Tomatoes.
Bananas. But tomatoes are a fruit. You're right. It's not a vegetable. They classify it as a vegetable, but it
it's
is a
real
fruit. But it's number 3 in the veggies. But the number 1 fruit are bananas. And bananas are like eating sugar, like a ball of sugar.
Well, we're going to talk about this more in our next program. So stay with us, and I hope you've enjoyed this. Go to our website, drcolbert.com. You can get all of our products there, and they ship out right away, so you don't have to wait. You'll get it real quick, and we appreciate that. Partnering with us by supporting our products is what enables us to do what we do for you. And it's our desire to bring the most current information to you, and may you walk in divine health.
Amen. God bless you.
Hi, I'm Mary Colbert, and welcome back to Dr. Colbert's Divine Health broadcast. We are continuing on talking with my husband, Dr. Colbert, about the keto zone, getting into the keto zone, and then how you can get beyond the keto zone. It's a lot of information, and I encourage you to, if you didn't see our program, our first program, go back and watch it before you watch this, because it recaps a lot. You know, to kind of recap a little bit, Don, if a person has never done keto, in some areas it gets a bad rap, so people are discouraged from it. On the other hand, we've had people who do it, but then they've done it to the extreme that it's not really healthy. So there is a healthy zone of keto.
Right.
And if
Well,
you've
again,
never,
it's putting the right macros together. You say, what are macronutrients? Macronutrients are the fats. Realize the keto zone is a high-fat diet. Now, that freaks most people out.
right, and especially doctors.
Oh, my gosh, people have fat phobia. They say, oh,
Yeah.
my gosh,
Yeah.
high fat, that means I'm going to get fatter. Or that means I'm going to get heart disease, or I'm going to get cancer or something.
But there's a right fat and a bad fat.
Exactly. So what I
Yeah.
do is I put, this is a high-fat diet. The keto zone, or nutritional ketosis, is a state of being in which your body shifts from burning sugar as the primary fuel, which, by the way, 99.9% of the population, I would say approximately, is simply burning sugar as their fuel. But if you burn fat as your fuel, it's a superior fuel. It's kind of like comparing a hybrid car with a gas car. For example, a hybrid car can shift from burning electricity to burning gasoline. Now, when it's burning electricity, there's no exhaust. It's clean fuel. But when it shifts to burning gasoline, it becomes dirty fuel, and they get exhaust. And if it's diesel, oh my goodness, it's horrible exhaust, dirty fuel. So again, when you're burning fat, especially the right kinds of fat, what are the right kinds of fats, people ask? I tell them the best fats are the omega-3 fats and the MUFA fats, the monounsaturated fatty acids, which are olive oil, avocado oil, avocados, nuts. Those are very healthy fats unless you have a sensitivity or allergy for a nut. But olive oil is amazing. I consume lots of olive oil.
You do?
I use high polyphenol olive oils, oleocanthols, or if I'm in a pinch, I just use my organic extra virgin olive oil. It's still good. If it has a burn, it's even better.
You know, I gotta interject here because people will find this fascinating. Years ago, we went to Greece.
Right.
And it was amazing to me because this was back, I was really doing the keto, and they took us to an olive oil factory in Greece.
An olive grove that had a factory.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
And they took the olives, shook them from the tree, put them through the machine, and brought them out, and then put them in little shot glasses for us to taste
Right
them.
from the vine to the oil. It was amazing within like an hour
guys,
or 30
I have
minutes.
to tell you, it was the most eye-opening experience of my life in so many ways of nutrition. It literally rocked my world because because I'm thinking, I'm drinking olive oil in a shot glass. You know,
Connoisseur fine olive oil.
right, a connoisseur, I know, olive oil. So we drank it, and man, it burned, and we're coughing, and the guy stood there and smiled real big.
And I said, is this bad olive oil? What's the matter with this stuff?
The better the burn, the stronger the burn, the better the olive oil.
Well, the more powerful polyphenol.
Yeah.
It has these powerful polyphenols that protect your brain, your liver, your heart, your blood vessels from inflammation.
So not all olive oil, this is my point, is created equal. There is so many now that have been watered down, and they've put safflower oil.
Well, no, that's in certain countries, like the mafia in Italy was putting cheap seed oils
You gotta
and
watch
putting
this.
chlorophyll in there to make it look like olive oil, smell like olive oil, but it was these cheap inflammatory seed oils. And so the government had to hire special people that could taste it and tell it the difference. These special
Isn't that
tasters.
crazy? I mean, all for the dollar bill, they were compromising the world's health, not just ours, the world's health, with
That was
bad
years ago.
olive
That
oil.
was years ago.
So I don't know if they're
that's
still doing it today, but you want to know good olive oil.
Yes.
That's what's important. And there are some in Napa Valley that have good olive oils here in America.
A lot of Greek olive oils are really good. Just look for a high polyphenol olive oil, and it has a burn. It has a kick to it. When you taste it, you get a burn in the back of the throat, and then you'll many times have a little cough for a second or two.
Right.
And so some patients complain, oh, this is burning in the back of my throat. The better the burn, the better the olive oil is what I tell patients.
And one thing I found, which was a little rabbit trail, which was amazing. I know this has have so much to do with keto, but it does in some regards. In Greece, they have the highest population in the world of smokers.
Well, one of the highest in the European Union.
Okay.
It used to be the highest. It was like 40%.
It
or
was
35,
crazy how
40%.
many people smoke over there when we went. Everybody was smoking. And this wasn't too many years ago. And yet, lung cancer and cancer is among the lowest rate. So they found, these scientists in their studies found, people who consume regular, good high polyphenol
Daily intake of olive oil. Yeah.
intake had a lower incidence of developing cancer. So for me, I was like, this is huge news. This is big news. Because we come back here in the United States and the oil we're consuming is safflower oil, seed oil,
canola oil, processed oil, soybean oil.
We're taking in all
corn
the
oil.
wrong oils.
Oh, these are highly inflammatory oils that contribute to inflammation and heart disease.
Folks, listen, if you don't do anything else but change your dietary and this, you're going to help your health so much further away. Because when you go to the fast foods, they're using all the
Oh,
cheap,
Mary,
cheap,
many
cheap,
fast
cheap.
food restaurants are using corn oil, soybean oil to fry your
Peanut
French fries.
oil.
And you say, but they taste so good. Well, it's creating inflammation in your arteries, in your body, in your brain, and it's inviting heart disease in your body.
So the only 2 oils that we recommend.
Well, no, what I recommend, number 1, is a high polyphenol olive oil. And it's a new category of olive oils. You can get it online.
Right.
Some of the health food stores are carrying it now, which
And
is
you
great.
can stir fry with it.
Well,
Heat.
it's best to stir fry with avocado oil. It has
That's
the highest smoke point of all other oils at around 275 degrees.
Now, why is that important? The oil that you fry foods in.
Excuse me, that was 475 degrees, not 200.
But when you stir fry or cook with oils, which is a big thing because people like French fries. So what happens?
Oh, you can do an air fryer. Yeah.
Air fry. That's where I was going.
And you can spray avocado oil on it or olive oil on it. Absolutely.
And
That'd
see,
be fine.
so there's alternatives to still get that fried taste that people like.
Right.
They like
but just
fried
get a healthy
chicken.
oil. Sure. Well, they can air fry it, and that's great. And put your olive oil or avocado oil, spray it on there, and you get that taste without all the bad fats that are causing so much disease
and
in this country.
And if you do eat fried chicken or fried fish or items that are fried, you, for whatever reason, pull the skins off.
Yes, absolutely.
And take a cloth and just saturate it so that you take as much of the bad oil as you can out of it. I know a lot of people watch it right now and go, oh, that's the best part.
That's the best part. No, that's what I used to tell people for years.
But when you realize that you're putting something that really is that harmful and deadly into your body, and I say deadly because it is, a lot of it, as it builds up in your system, it is a problem, and it's creating a problem in America and around the world. Because you can look and see the obesity and the belly fat and everything that's just gone through the roof.
Right.
We're just trying to help you.
Yeah.
We're trying to give you
Now let's explain the healthy ketozone diet.
Good.
First of all, in the ketozone, your body is literally taking a high healthy fat diet, very low carbohydrates, around 5% of your intake of carbs of your diet is carbohydrates, which is breads and sugars and starches, and it's moderate protein, about 15-20% protein, but healthy protein. Those are your macros. You have about 75% of your diet fat, but healthy fat. Only 5% is carbohydrates, sugars, and starches, and about 15 to 20% healthy protein. Not deep fried, but grilled. Pasture-raised chicken and turkey, wild fish, your grass-fed beef. And so those are your healthy sources of protein. And also you need to realize the healthy ketozone diet, we have healthy sources of fats, saturated fats, but in moderation. Only 10% of your total calories should be saturated fat, 10% or less. Number 2, lots of veggies. Most Americans only consume like 1.5 servings of veggies a day. The more veggies you have, the better off you are, or supplement with our green supreme food and our fruits and our red supreme food. So we want to get our veggies, you want to get our fiber. Most Americans are woefully deficient in fiber. So we add our fiber zone. And fiber zone gives you the fiber you need. How much fiber do you need? Women, at least 25 grams a day. Men, about 38 grams of fiber a day. But if you're eating lots of veggies, you're going to be getting your fiber. And then also you want to make sure you get your omega-3 fats. These are the healthy components of the healthy ketozone diet. How much omega-3 fats? At least 500 milligrams a day. We have our salmon oil. If you want to get that, 2 a day is sufficient. And finally, you also want to realize that 90% of Americans don't get enough omega-3 fats from fish. Now, if you're eating wild salmon...
Now, can you have this if you have a sensitivity to seafood or fish?
Well,
or
well, if you have an allergy to seafood, you shouldn't eat that.
Okay.
But again, you can get other forms. See, what's interesting is we do not require carbohydrates as a macro. We can live without carbohydrates. We cannot live without fats. There's 2 essential fats, alpha-linolenic acid and linoleic acid. And one's an omega-3 and another is an omega-6. We also cannot live without protein. We are required to get at least 9 essential amino acids, but we can live without carbs.
Wow.
So in other words, you can have the fats, you don't have to have carbs, You got to have healthy fats, and you have to have adequate protein. But we find that if you will limit your carbs to only 5%, your body goes through a metabolic shift. In most people, it's only within a week or two. If you're pre-diabetic or diabetic, it may take you 2 to 4 weeks. But you will eventually undergo a metabolic shift, which shifts you from sugar burning to fat burning. And usually the first fat you burn is belly fat. If you're diabetic or pre-diabetic, you may need our ketozone aids, which is our instant ketones, to instantly, within 30 minutes, put you in the keto zone. And that's why we've been using these for years. Now, again, realize that omega-3 fats reduce inflammation in the body by inhibiting genes that produce inflammation. So without omega-3 fats, your body's going to be prone to having inflammation. So that's why those are critical. We got to have, number one, limit our saturated fats to 10%. Number two, increase our veggies and healthy fruits like berries. The best fruit is berries. They're low glycemic, and lemons and limes.
And that's why we developed the red Supreme. This
Right.
is a lot of the good berries that you can eat.
And then increase your omega-3 fats to at least 500 milligrams a day, and then have fiber, extra fiber. Get your veggies, your berries, and your fiber zone provide the fiber you need. It's real simple. Now, the average American consumes 133 pounds of flour per person per year. 133 pounds. And the average person consumes an average of 130 pounds of sugar per person per year. So that's 263 pounds of flour and sugar a year. Is that amazing? And that's the average. No, this is garbage. This is pure garbage. What is garbage? It's highly processed carbohydrates and sugar that produce belly fat, that produce inflammation in the body, and it's going to literally wreak havoc on your system. When you're eating garbage, this is like garbage to the body. It hits your body just like consuming sugar. And when you consume excessive sugar, it spikes your blood sugar for about 3 hours, and then it crashes. It creates a runaway appetite. It causes leptin resistance, and literally you're hungry and snacking every 3 to 4 hours, and you're gaining weight. And that's why we have an epidemic of obesity and overweight, with over almost 75% of Americans either overweight or obese, Mary. And it's so simple. It's because we're eating too much garbage.
So the 25% are probably babies?
Probably.
Little children?
Okay, now, so again, we talk about how to enter the keto zone. Now let's talk about the 10 benefits of being in the keto zone that occur fairly rapidly within usually the first few weeks. Number one, it promotes weight loss. When you enter that keto zone, your body is just shifted from burning sugar to burning fat. And usually the first fat you burn is right in your belly. Now again, when you start seeing that belly shrink, people get excited. I have patients come in that bring their skinny jeans in, and I had one fella, a patient of mine who just came 2 weeks ago, and he had lost 85 pounds in 6 months. And he said, you went over the program. I crucified my flesh. I stood on Galatians 5:24. Those that are Christ have crucified their flesh with their affections and lust. And also Romans 12:1. I beseech you, brethren, by the mercy of God, that you present your body a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. He did that every day. And you know what? He entered the keto zone within a few weeks. He lost 85 pounds. His waist measurement came down for like over 10 inches. It was absolutely amazing, the difference. I got a picture with him 2 weeks ago, and we're the same size. He looks amazing, Mary.
I know. I didn't even.
And we're going to show his. We're going to show his.
Yeah, we're going to show you the picture right here if they'll put that in there, so you.
Yeah, we're going to insert the story of Wally, a patient of mine who lost 85 pounds, which is amazing.
He's one of thousands of testimonies that we have, literally, that have successfully lost their weight and kept it off. So you can do it, and if you got to do it the right way though, you got to do it with wisdom, and you got to know exactly what you can and can't do. And I think this is important too, because we're in such a busy society of people, so many moms, their families are very scattered in so many ways, and you know, to have to prepare a different meal for everybody, it gets to be a little bit much. But even with children and stuff, there is a healthy keto. It will be absolutely positive.
Well, for kids, I don't recommend keto, 5% of carbs. They are growing.
Right.
So I wait and do this once they're 18 or over. I'll put them on the healthy ketozone diet. I will.
Right.
To get
so
their weight down.
if they're growing, they need
They
carbs.
need carbs.
And that's
healthy carbs.
Healthy
Brown
carbs.
rice, healthy gluten-free breads, healthy potatoes and sweet potatoes, things like that. Kids need that to grow. We can't limit their or excessively limit their carbs to just 5% of their total caloric intake. They may not reach their full growth potential.
But, occasionally you'll be out and about and you'll see a little boy or a little girl that the parents have just let them eat whatever they want.
I know. Now, in
And
those
they're
cases,
huge.
yes. Now,
And they're
I'll take away their sweets, their sodas, their excessive amounts of carbohydrates that they're eating, like they're living on French fries or living on cream corn or corn tortillas. Or
love your kids
tacos.
enough.
Yes.
Love your kids enough to give them what will make them have a long life. So many parents, they feel guilty. Let them have the ice cream, let them have the cookies and stuff. And then we look and we see these children that are huge.
Oh, fatty liver, man. I'm seeing so much fatty liver in my kids now.
You are responsible for taking care of your child and giving your child the best that you can give them. And don't hate your child by letting them
But Mary,
die
for children,
early, 'cause
just
that's what
follow
you're
my
doing.
Beyond Keto,
Yeah.
the Mediterranean portion, because it gives you healthy carbs for your kids. And once you achieve your weight goals, a lot of my patients will shift over to the healthy Mediterranean diet. And that way they maintain their weight loss. Now, some need to stay always on the Beyond Keto, because once they start raising their carbs, all of a sudden they start putting the weight back on. So for some, you can switch over to Mediterranean. This is especially good for teenagers and kids. And young adults, but when you're older, a lot of you need to go ahead and stick mainly with the healthy Beyond Keto.
And our
or
fruits and
keto zone.
veggies are very good for children.
Oh,
They're
absolutely.
wonderful for
Our
children.
grandkids are on it.
Yeah, and it helps with your immune system. So when you're in the cold and flu season and stuff, this is a great supplement to take to help boost the immune system. So many things. You can keep this around, and I refrigerate mine after it opens because I want to make sure.
Yeah, it's good to keep it in the fridge. Absolutely
Because they're
right.
living enzymes in here, and you want to keep those enzymes alive as long as you can from the time you open it.
Yeah,
So I
okay.
put mine in the fridge.
Now, there's 10 short-term benefits you get from being in the keto zone, Mary. Number one, you start to burn belly fat. You start to burn fat, and especially belly fat. Number two, you start to reduce your appetite. You start to reverse leptin resistance and insulin resistance, and you start to decrease ghrelin by increasing your fat. So it's real simple. Those appetite hormones come in alignment, and they come in balance. Also, being in the keto zone, it usually increases one's energy. I have seen so many people, once they get in the zone, they say something, it's like a switch was flipped. My energy went from here to here.
It's true.
Because literally
We've heard
garbage,
this so many times.
garbage and bad fats create inflammation, and it drains your energy, and it drains mental clarity. And the next thing I hear commonly, it increases mental clarity and it decreases brain fog. It also boosts the metabolic rate. So people are burning more fat at rest. They're sleeping and they're burning fat because they're in the keto zone. So they love that. Also, it promotes good sleep. When you're in the keto zone, you sleep better. You don't need as much sleep, and you sleep better. You sleep deeper. Also, it improves blood sugar levels and eliminates the sugar spikes and the sugar drops. So you're not on the sugar roller coaster where you have to eat sugar and carbs every 3 or 4 hours, or else you get a sugar drop or a hypoglycemia, and you're literally on the sugar roller coaster. It gets you off the sugar roller coaster. It reduces inflammation. These are short-term benefits that happen within a few weeks. It helps one's neurotransmitters and hormones function better because there's less inflammation, and one usually feels better. Also, it lowers insulin levels. When you're in the keto zone, your insulin levels, people say, what's the deal with insulin? Big deal. Well, when your insulin's high, anytime I put a diabetic on insulin, Mary, the first thing that happens, they gain weight and they gain belly fat. And so I've seen so many people, so many of my patients come to see me, and their doctors have put them on insulin, and their weight's gone up 50, 100 pounds because insulin is an anabolic hormone that causes weight gain. It causes both muscle weight and fat weight, and usually they gain belly fat. So the more insulin you have, and I check, if a person's not losing weight, one of the first things I do is I check a fasting insulin level. And if that level is greater than 7, usually they're gaining weight. And so our goal, once you're in the keto zone, I can tell if they're in the keto zone. If their insulin level's high, I know they're not in the keto zone. And so by checking fasting insulin levels, and very few doctors do it, but if your level's over 7, you're going to be gaining weight probably. You got to keep the insulin levels down, or else you're going to gain more belly fat. So
now, we have a supplement called Carb Assist.
yeah,
That
it
helps
brings
them.
Oh, absolutely,
The
it does.
Carb Assist supplement will help bring that
Carb Assist and berberine definitely help insulin resistance, but you've got to follow the healthy keto zone diet
Right,
also.
right.
And it helps tremendously in reversing that.
That's awesome.
So those are the short-term benefits. Then we have long-term benefits. And the long-term benefits are absolutely amazing. And so let's go over these. Number one, it helps lower blood pressure. Because when you're in the keto zone, you start to lose sodium. Your body starts to excrete sodium. And literally the first day, people will lose, or the first week, they'll lose like 4 pounds of water weight.
Wow.
And when that happens, their blood pressure goes down tremendously.
Wow.
Now, some people go in and out of the keto zone, and these people shouldn't stop their blood pressure med. But once you lose that belly fat, you're decreasing your C-reactive protein. See, C-reactive protein is a cytokine produced by the belly fat that constricts your arteries. Once you lose that belly fat, I find most people decrease their C-reactive protein. Now, I check HSC reactive protein on all patients. And once I reduce that, usually their pressure will start coming down. And we also have natural things to help lower their blood pressure too, and we add that to it. We did talks on high blood pressure in the past. But those are just 2 things that happen. Other things, it helps restore fatty liver. When you have been on a lot of garbage, sugars, carbs, and starches, this sugar especially, and fruit sugar, and honey, and maple syrup, and raisins, and dried fruit create a fatty liver. It's the sugar that creates a fatty liver, especially high fructose corn syrup in sodas. I see so many kids with fatty livers now. I used to never see that.
That's something.
And it's
Wow.
because they're living on sodas and dried fruit and orange juice and all these fruit juices. So again, we help to restore fatty liver by putting them in the keto zone and by giving them our nanoglutathione. Now, nanoglutathione helps to restore a fatty liver. So again, these are simple things. And finally, what being in the keto zone fuels the brain. It provides another fuel source for the brain. It helps people with brain fog, memory loss, dementia, and even Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's. And it helps prevent cancer. And for those that have advanced cancers, realize when you're in the keto zone with a healthy keto zone diet with the good fats and with low sugar, low carbs, low starches, it will take, most cancers are glycolytic, meaning they feed off sugar. When you take that sugar away from cancers, many cancers shift from a highly aggressive cancer to a survivable cancer. So it becomes what I call a happy cancer. So it's less likely to be aggressive. And that's what happens when you put people in the keto zone. I've been doing that with patients for over 25 years, and I've helped to co-manage cancer patients with oncologists for many decades.
You know, that is really how the keto zone was birthed, is this doctor in California, he would implement a type of keto to cancer patients, and he noticed the aggression stopped.
Well, it helped for cancer, but also it actually started back in the 1930s in managing
Yeah.
seizure patients back
Yeah.
then at Johns Hopkins.
Wow.
But also being in the healthy keto zone helps acid reflux. When that belly fat goes, the stomach usually shrinks back down and it goes back down from the diaphragm. And many times, many of my patients with acid reflux clear up. And finally, it helps prevent plaque in the arteries and inflammation. How does it do this? By decreasing inflammation in the arteries, by lowering C-reactive protein, reducing blood pressure, reducing cholesterol, and reducing triglycerides. All those are risk factors which the healthy keto zone diet helps to reverse.
Now, what's interesting to me, Don, is just because somebody is trim doesn't necessarily mean they are healthy on the inside.
That's exactly right. I find it all the time. People that are trim are insulin resistant. They have elevated blood sugar, elevated hemoglobin A1C, elevated insulin, high triglycerides, high cholesterol. They're unhealthy. They're fat on the inside, slender on the outside.
Exactly, and you'll see these people, and unfortunate, they'll be very trim, and they die of a sudden heart attack.
Yes.
And they'll go, well, I don't understand. They were so healthy looking. You know, they were runners. They were trim. They weren't overweight. But they died of a massive heart attack or a sudden stroke. Or
inflammation, Mary. It's all that chronic inflammation. The best fire extinguishers to quench inflammation are, again, those healthy fats. The olive oil, especially the high polyphenol olive oil, the fish oil, the avocado oil, the nuts, the seeds, the pecans, the pistachios, the almonds, the macadamia nuts. Those are anti-inflammatory, and they taste absolutely delicious, and they're very filling.
Wow, he's just got so much more information. Stay with us. We're going to go into our next program with more information. This is not all. The Beyond Keto is the lifestyle, and this is his book on that. If you're just getting started and you don't know where to start and you want to begin, the Keto Zone book will introduce you to the program. And then we have the Keto Zone cookbook. We have products that we have developed through the years to help you be successful in doing this. But we need your help. We need your help sharing our programs with your friends, your family. Help them become more healthy. You're going to reach people we will never reach. And the only way that they'll know is by you sharing our programs. So please do that to spread the good news, to spread the good word. And then maybe eventually, when we go to a restaurant, those bad oils, bad fats won't even exist anymore because the population has pushed it out. So we want to, the education is the key. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. So we're trying to get that knowledge to you. Help us do that. When you partner with Divine Health and sharing with our products and buying our products, you help us do what we do. And we thank you. Walk in divine health. God bless you.
God bless you.
Hello, I'm Mary Colbert, and welcome to Dr. Colbert's broadcast. We are continuing on a topic that is a big craze around the world, and it's keto. Keto.
But the keto zone, the healthy keto.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about the keto zone and how you can really get in the zone. And we're going to give you some more information and encourage you. If you've done it in the past, I want you to, and you weren't successful at it and you failed at it, I want to encourage you to consider it one more time. We want to help you and take you along. On our website, you go to drcolbert.com. We have a chat room on keto, and there's people in there sharing their stories and advice and what to do. And it's just become a plethora of information. Plethora of information for people to go in and share. And this is really, really important to encourage what worked, what didn't work. And one thing I found, because I've done the keto, is which is kind of eye-opening, is you got to stay away from that white flour. The white flour is a major anti-keto. So the big thing people will ask is, well, what can you do in place? And it's so exciting, Don. There's so many alternatives.
So Mary, did you know that wheat has 23,788 different proteins, any one of which can create inflammation and weight gain in your body? And so again, and a lot of people are sensitive to gluten or allergic. Yeah. And so gluten is a major cause of weight gain for so many people.
So learning to eat gluten-free is very, very helpful to you in helping to attain what your goals should be. Now, first of all, you got to have a goal, and we got to lay some ground lines here. You got to go into your cupboard. You got to go into your refrigerator. You got to begin to weed out right now.
Garbage are carbohydrates that act like garbage in your body. And it gets you stuck in the sugar burning zone. You'll never enter the keto zone or fat burning zone with garbage in the house, because something happens to almost everyone around 8 in the evening. People get the munchies.
Yes.
Most everyone.
So you got to remove the temptation out of your house. You got to do this. This is critical. And just throw it away, give it to someone else, a neighbor or whatever, donate it to a food camp.
Right, but this is chips and crackers and pretzels and breads and bagels and rolls and croissants and potatoes and rice and beans and tortillas, and most all fruits, especially bananas and mangoes and papayas and oranges, because it's like a ball of sugar. Yeah. And raisins and dried fruits are the worst, and sodas. And juices, Mary, is pure sugar. Yeah. People don't realize that 12 ounces of juice is like having a soda. Yeah. But it causes more, a lot of times when you have
insulin releases.
Well, no, what happens is they get more prone to a fatty liver.
Yeah.
So again, we want to cut the garbage out, and then we want to give you healthy fat sources. This is critically important. Realize 75% of your intake is going to be healthy fats. So I have big bottles of olive oil. I have the high polyphenol olive oils. I love PJ-Cabos. You can use many different ones. There's Laconium Legacy, there's Desert Miracle, there's many different ones you can get. Also, there's oleocanthal that I love, like Atsis. There's macadamia, cold pressed avocado oil is good. That's how you cook my eggs. You'll cook my eggs with at least 2 tablespoons avocado oil, pasture raised organic eggs. And again, sometimes I'll have an omelet. Sometimes you'll use a little feta cheese, or you'll use some onions.
Now we have a cookbook with all these recipes in here. If you get stuck and you think, you're wanting to have some variety, there is a lot of things available now. One thing is almond flour. Folks, I am in shock as to how much almond flour tastes like flour.
It does. It tastes just like it.
It works. Yeah. It really does work, but yet it doesn't cause the inflammation.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't have the calories or the garbage. See, almonds are a form of fat. It does have, and again, a handful of almonds contains about 6 grams of carbs, but you calculate the net carbs by taking the total carbs, which is 6 grams, minus the fiber carbs, which is 3.5 grams, and you only get 2.5 grams of carbs. That's low carb.
So for those who've got to have that fried chicken, you roll it in
roll it
the
in
almond flour.
Or macadamia nut
with
flour.
You
Sure.
dip your chicken in egg,
Yeah.
and then roll it in the flour and salt and pepper it, and then you cook it in a low
Mary,
heat
do you
with
remember?
avocado.
Do you remember when I used to get that almond crusted chicken that tastes just like fried chicken at a Fresh Kitchen? We have a little health food restaurant in Orlando, in Lake Mary, Florida.
Yeah.
And I would love this almond crusted chicken. It tasted just like healthy fried chicken.
It does. It tastes
but it had
amazing.
it was not fried. It was baked with almond flour on it.
Right.
Tastes delicious.
It does. So there's all kinds of things you can do that is going to be very familiar to your taste, and it won't make so difficult. Also,
talk about
chocolate, dark chocolate.
Oh, but what
without
kind of
sugar.
chocolate, Mary?
Without sugar.
There's a new kind of chocolate.
Talk about
in the stores.
you can actually even have chocolate, and
Well,
since berries is part of it,
but-
you get the chocolate, you melt it.
But
dip
tell me
your
what
berries
kind there.
in
There's a
it.
new chocolate on the
Okay.
shelves at
All right.
Walmart and Target.
Tell them what it is.
It's the new zero sugar Hershey's dark chocolate. Tastes just like chocolate, no aspartame. It only has maltitol, which is sweet alcohol, but that's all right. You can have it in moderation.
He buys it by the bags.
It's absolutely delicious.
Now
It's
that
a
we're
great
telling everybody,
treat.
you're not going to be able to
I'm not
find
going
it.
to find it now, but it's great. It's called the Zero Sugar Hershey's. It's got that unique Hershey's flavor. You cannot tell the difference, but no sugar, zero sugar, no aspartame, no NutraSweet, no Splenda, none of that.
So it's Dr.
which is
Colbert
great.
approved
Yeah,
dark
absolutely.
chocolate that you can get that little taste at night, and
But-
that'll help you through the
Things you want to
little
have,
crave.
you got to have things in the house, because when that 8 o'clock or 7:30 hits or 8:30,
Yeah.
the carb cravings come.
Yeah.
To stop it, you want to have your oils. You want to have some guacamole or avocado. You want to have almond butter with celery, or cucumber slices to dip your guacamole in cucumber slices or celery sticks. Also, your keto coffee with a little MCT oil powder is always good. Nuts, I have all kind of nuts, and I'm afraid telling my favorite nut, it'll be gone.
Now, can you
Shall I
do
tell 'em?
peanut butter with celery sticks a little bit?
A little, but peanut butter is not a nut. It's a legume. It's a bean. It's the bean family. It has more carbs in it, see? But you can have a little bit on occasion, or like your vinegar, salt peanuts like you used to have.
Right.
Now, again, I have all kind of different nuts, Mary. You can get your pistachios, cashews, almonds, macadamia nuts,
And
hazelnuts.
keep those around the house.
Yeah.
So when you get that little crunch and you want something to crunch and
Now,
salty.
let me tell you something. You want to have something absolutely delicious?
Yeah, of course.
The macadamia nuts with garlic and onion. I found some at Walmart. Oh my goodness, it's my new favorite nut. I found it years ago, and then they quit carrying it, and they just now released it. Now I may never see it again, but talking about a good nut that tastes absolutely delicious. Now don't eat the whole bag. Have like a little handful, or you can have a little more if you
That's
haven't.
the key. You
Yeah.
can't go crazy with these things like I have done in the past. Let me ask you this. You know, one of the reasons I think we're in such a crisis here in America is because of the low fat
Oh, sure.
craze.
Yeah,
That
well,
really,
low fat
that really hurt us
low
as a
fat
population.
When you're low fat, you have to substitute high carbs for that.
Yeah.
And that's why we have seen such an explosion in obesity, type 2 diabetes, and pre-diabetes, because of all the carbs. It's causing insulin resistance, which is the first stage of developing pre-diabetes and diabetes. But what we have to do is we have to have lots of these fats. Think seeds. I love pumpkin seeds. Pumpkin seeds are great to have around the house, or sesame seeds, or sunflower seeds, you know, some kind of seeds. But we need to be prepared, have our cupboard prepared.
Yes.
You want all the different forms of seeds. You want to have meats, pasture-raised chicken, eggs, turkey, like fresh turkey, which that's a great little way to have it. You can have it on keto bread. You can have a bacon and lettuce and turkey sandwich at night on keto bread, which is good. But again, you want to make sure that you have these alternatives, these healthy alternatives. As far as wild fish, wild salmon, grass-fed beef, you want to have dairy, but dairy needs to be less than 10% of your total calories. It's best to choose goat or sheep or feta cheese rather than cow cheese. Why? Because cow cheese is more inflammatory, produces more mucus, more inflammation in the body.
Okay, but for people that aren't sensitive to the dairy, this was my question. If they're
Yeah.
going to have like a cheese, they can do sourdough bread. You like that okay? Or is
Mary,
that
that's
not?
Mediterranean, that's not keto.
Okay.
You'll never enter keto with sourdough bread.
Okay, so that's an important point.
Yeah, but once you've reached your goal weight, yeah, you can have some sourdough on occasion.
On occasion,
But sourdough, well, you'll never enter keto with sourdough because 1.5 slices of sourdough bread is 20 grams of carbs,
Okay.
and you've just exceeded, that's the most you can have.
Okay, so we had to
of carbs a day.
debunk that myth.
Yes,
because
you
some
can,
people are,
right.
are thinking that that's the case.
But it's good to have organic
have-
chicken broth, beef broth, bone broth soups in glass jars. It's good to have your organic pasture-raised eggs, your berries, your lemons and limes. You can have 1/4 cups a day, lots of herbs. And again, what I did was I ate a lot of soups, and I would get these, like chicken broth. I would get organic chicken broth, and I'd add in there about 4 tablespoons of olive oil for women, just 2 to 3 tablespoons of olive oil. And then I'd add my chicken. I'd get fajita chicken, just add it to it. I'd put cilantro in there, onions and broccoli. You can add zoodles to it. You know what zoodles are? Zoodles are zucchini noodles. It's best to stir fry those for about 3 to 5 minutes, then add them to the soup
soften
at the
it.
very end. But you don't want them too, mushy, okay? So stir fry them in some avocado oil for about 3 to 5 minutes.
And we
then
have
add it to your
we
soup.
have great recipes that will help you figure this all out.
But you need lots of herbs, and we
but
talk
let me
about the
ask you
different
this,
herbs.
I'm thinking people are thinking this in their mind. Cheese, okay? Because people are cheese lovers.
Cheese is a saturated fat. Cheese needs to be grated on your salad, but not eaten by the slice, or you're
Okay.
going to go over the 10% max that you can have of saturated fats.
Okay.
So that's what I do is
Calm
on
down.
my salad, I grate feta cheese, or I get
Yeah.
I get a salad with feta cheese, but
All right.
grated on the top,
Right.
just a little.
Right.
And then again, it adds that nice, good taste to it, but I load it with olive oil. I'll put 4 to 6 tablespoons of olive oil on my salad.
I know what you do.
And then a little chicken.
All right, listen, milk, because these are things that people are asking me. Milk.
Milk, if you're having 2% milk or higher, you're going to get in too much saturated fats.
Okay, so
But if you have milk, it has lactose in it, which is a sugar. You'll never enter the keto zone.
okay, so almond milk,
Almond
rice milk.
coconut milk, not rice milk, too much sugar.
Okay.
You can have coconut milk, you can have almond milk, those are fine.
Okay.
Oat milk, too much sugar. Rice milk, way too much sugar.
Okay.
But almond milk and coconut milk are fine. And you can make a smoothie. And a lot of times
Right.
with our smoothies,
Yeah.
you add some almond milk, you can add protein. Now you can get a collagen protein, a scoop or 2 of collagen protein, and you can add some stevia. Now it has stevia in there, so it's fine. Add 2 to 4 tablespoons of avocado oil, add some ice, and you have a wonderful, and some people add a scoop of fiber. You have a wonderful, thick, creamy shake that is very filling because that avocado oil, you're burning fat as fuel. It's not inflammatory. It's satiating. You're going to be full for 6 to 8 hours. It's absolutely amazing. Or you can have a salad, like I said, with all the olive oil, with a little grilled chicken breast, never anything deep fried. Or you can have some turkey with it, or some wild salmon with it, or a little grass-fed beef with it, like a little fillet, a little 3 to 6 ounce little fillet on it. So again, there's so many different ideas, but you got to have the beverages at home. Iced tea is great. Just add stevia or lohan or monk fruit to your iced tea. It tastes just like sweet tea. Get the debittered stevia, like pure stevia, P-Y-U-R-E stevia from Walmart. It's dirt cheap. And also, you want to have, if you love sodas, switch to Zevia, Z-E-V-I-A. It tastes just like a soda, but it's got stevia in it. So if you're craving a soda, load your fridge up with Zevia. Also get sparkling water. You can add sparkling water. I like lemon or lime, and then add a little stevia. It tastes just like limeade or lemonade.
That's awesome, yes.
And also, coffee is real good for you, but I limit my coffee to generally 1 or 2 cups a day, max. And then other things we need is we've got to have dark chocolate for so many people. It gives you that little feeling at night. Chocolate creates that feeling that you're loved. It stimulates that
Hormone
PEA,
in
that
you.
hormone PEA, which is that love hormone, and it gives you that feeling that you're being loved. So there's nothing better than the zero sugar Hershey's dark chocolate. Absolutely amazing. Now, don't be eating the whole bag, just 2 to 4 pieces a day. Stick with 2 if you can. And then another that's good is Lily's dark chocolate. That's sugar-free. And so these are great little examples of little things that we've hacked so that we're satisfying you without taking you out of the keto zone. We want to keep you in the keto zone. But we have sample menus throughout the book, the Keto Zone, the Beyond Keto and the Keto Zone book. We have sample menus for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and snacks. You got to have those snacks. The snacks are critical, and go to bed early. I tell people, the later you stay up, the more you're going to be craving garbage.
Yeah, 10 o'clock should be the latest you stay up.
Absolutely.
You really, to get into the melatonin and the deep sleep. But
Right.
what helps those, so many people who have that 2 o'clock wake up and the wide awake, who's on the weight loss
Right.
part of things, the fiber helps you
Yes.
stay asleep.
Now, what I do
This works.
every
This
night
works.
after dinner, I get my Fiber Zone. I personally like the lemon lime. I've been on the Fiber Zone for years. I have a heaping scoop of lemon lime Fiber Zone and 4 ounces of water, so I'm not having to get up all night. And I have that, and it is absolutely delicious. But what it does, it expands like 100 times its size, so it fills you up. And then you can also have a protein drink at night, but again, you can limit it. You can put like 2 to 4 tablespoons of avocado oil. You can put 1 or 2 scoops of the protein powder, or if you don't like mine, you can get your egg protein or whey protein. Just make sure it's low sugar. You can get chocolate or vanilla. I just like chocolate better. And you can put ice in there. And it makes and again, if you want, some people just put the Fiber Zone all in it. And then you have a rich, thick, creamy milkshake you can have right before bed.
And it's not too many calories.
And you're burning fat as you sleep.
Yeah.
And it's keeping you from having the sugar dips.
Which
So it's
wakes you up.
Right. It's a great thing to do as a little treat. And it's real simple. Just you can use your almond milk or coconut milk, 4 to 6 to 8 ounces. As well as 1 to 2 scoops of your protein powder, or collagen or whey protein, low sugar or low sugar egg protein. And then you need 2 to 4 tablespoons, if you're a man, 4 tablespoons of cold pressed avocado oil, not olive oil. It messes a smoothie up. Add some ice. If you want it sweeter, add a little stevia, debittered stevia, and add a scoop of the Fiber Zone. Now, again, we have a plain Fiber Zone. We have a berry flavored. I like the berry flavored with my smoothies. Lemon lime is a little strong. I like it by itself, lemon lime best, but you may want to add the berry or the plain. And you have a thick, rich, creamy milkshake that's going to keep you in the keto zone all night. It'll turn off your craving for garbage, which is a great way to go to bed. You wake up refreshed, totally revitalized.
Now, Don has been doing this for years with patients, so he has heard what works and what doesn't work. We have had hundreds and hundreds of testimonies of people that have come to us and shared with us. And actually, we have a testimony that we're going to want to share with you. This gentleman, he did it. He struggled with his
Wally's
weight.
been a friend of ours for 30 years.
Yes, and he struggled with his weight forever and ever. And finally, one day, he just got up and said, you know what? I'm going to do what Dr. Colbert says to do. I'm going to get on his keto program.
Well, Mary, 6 months ago, he came here
I know.
for a visit.
I know.
And he says, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready.
I'm ready. And you know what? That is an important point.
Right.
Right there. You've got to get to the point you're ready. You get up, and if you're one of these people that keeps saying, tomorrow I'm going to do this, next week I'm going to start this, let me just encourage you, make it today. When you make it today, a now day, it changes everything. I'm going to start today, and that will make you mentally begin to think in that direction. But we've got so much support for you in helping you do this. Like I mentioned before, we have on our website, we have a chat room that everybody goes in. It's the Keto chat room, and they share their stories and their recipes and their successes. So I want to encourage you, as you get into this program, join that chat room.
It's a support group.
It's a great support group.
And they're not complaining. It's not a complain group. It's a support group.
It's sort of, yeah.
And they share great little ideas that's enabled them to, you know, gain the victory.
Exactly.
Into the keto zone.
Yeah, we have, but Wally wants to share his story. He gave us permission to share his story, his success with you. He feels better now, Don, than he's ever felt in his life.
But Mary, he had to have a wake-up call. This is one thing. Many people aren't ready for that wake-up call. Many are. They've gone to their doctor and they say, hey, you're pre-diabetic, or hey, you're diabetic, or your cholesterol's off the chart, or you have heart disease, or you could drop dead of a heart attack.
Yeah, exactly.
And so many people come in there and they've had that wake-up call, or they try and fit in those skinny pair of jeans, and there's no way. They got to get the spandex out, okay?
Yeah, you know, our products and keto and what Don is doing has been so popular that my son, who is the CEO of Divine Health, he developed a Facebook keto zone.
Yes,
so there is a Facebook keto zone that you can go in and you can join that group, the Keto Zone Facebook group. So look for it and you'll join in it and share all the stories and everything.
And now the keto zone is the healthy keto diet that you can be on the rest of your life. Realize over 95% of keto diets are not healthy and shouldn't be followed long term.
I hope you hear us say that. That is what is really, really important. So
and then we also use the Word of God to help you through this, to get you in the keto zone and to help crucify the flesh. The flesh is your greatest enemy in this, because once you enter the keto zone, you're going to have a battle with your flesh, and your flesh is going to want you to eat. It's going to see commercials on TV. You're going to see that pizza, or you're going to see that burger and fries, or you're going to see that chocolate ice cream, or you're going to see the cinnamon rolls, and the flesh is going to crave it. So you've got to be ready. You've got to be ready. Number one, change the channel. Number two, say no to it. And I like to tell people, the key verse is Galatians 5:24. Those that are Christ, if you're a Christian, they've crucified the flesh with its affections and lusts, especially for sugar and garbage.
Now listen, I want to encourage you to join in on the Keto Zone Challenge. We want you to join our group, become a part of the Keto Zone Challenge. You go to theketozone.com, and that's where you can get into the Keto Zone Challenge and join us with the Keto Zone Facebook for sure. We want you to be a part of that and hear your stories, and then hopefully we can have more videos of people sharing their stories. And let's see, my son's trying to show me something and I can't.
It's a 21-day challenge.
Oh yes, it's a 21-day detox program. No, 21-day Keto Zone Challenge.
Yeah.
21-day
Say it again, Mary. Say it again.
We're going to edit this out.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have the Keto Zone 21-day challenge. You can do anything for 21 days. That's simple. That's simple. So come in and join our 21-day Keto Zone challenge group for 21 days.
Mary, it takes 3 weeks or 21 days to establish a pattern, and it takes 3 months to establish a habit. So you are establishing a keto zone pattern when you do this 21-day challenge. It's great.
Right, and you know, there's something about just being a part of a group. You know, you're not going through this by yourself. You know, there's, well, the thing is, you know, so many people feel like, oh, I'm the only one who's going through this, and, you know, they can get into their pity parties. What's so cool about this is they really start sharing with each other, and you find out you're not alone. You've got a whole group of people, huge group of people joining in with you and sharing with your stories and successes. But I want to share with you a great success story right now. Wally, who's a good friend of ours, take a moment and watch what Wally did. Listen to him. This is one of hundreds of stories we have. But we really enjoyed
But his
the
is just
story.
recent. It just happened
Yeah,
a few weeks ago.
And we like current information.
And he's been a friend of ours for 30 years.
Yes.
And he lost 85 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, we have Judy who did hers.
yes.
So many,
Lots of
so
people.
many, so many, so many. So take a moment and listen to this story, and we'll be right back. Wasn't that an amazing story? We have got thousands of those stories, and we want you to be a part of it. You can do it. Don't be depressed. Don't be discouraged. We want to encourage you. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Go to our 21-day Keto Zone Challenge. When you go to our Keto Zone Facebook, you go in and you sign, then you can go in and we will give you access to join the ketozone.com/challenge. Then you get to become a part of the challenge group. We've got over 10,000 plus members in there talking right now. So come on in, join us with this. We want to hear your stories. We're so excited about this.
Amen.
It's going to be
exciting.
good. Let's get healthy together. Let's live long and strong for the Lord.
Amen.
Because that's His will, is that we be a light to the world. And I'm going to tell you, not sitting on the couch eating donuts. That does not work.
That's right. Amen.
Thank you. May you walk in divine health. Hello, I'm Mary Colbert, and welcome to Dr. Colbert's Divine Health broadcast. Listen, confusion comes when you try to go on the internet and you begin researching to try to get answers for different issues. That's where you're going to get confused, because there is so much information out there and so much of it contradicts each other. That's where we come in. We want to set the record straight. We want to bring to you the most current information, the up-to-date, what is true. And my husband, when I tell you, he spends hours and hours and hours of research and vetting through what's real, what's not real, so that he can bring to you what is the most current and up-to-date information. And today we're going to be talking about an area that you have been talking about for years.
Oh, Mary, I've written books on fasting. The book I've written recently on fasting is called The Fasting Zone. Now, we don't have it with us today, but that's the book that this information comes from, but there's been some new information that came out. But first of all, let's talk about fasting. Jesus actually talked about fasting. In Matthew 6, he talked about when you fast, when you pray, and when you give. Fasting is one of the three main duties we as Christians need to do. It just so happens one of the easiest ways to start fasting is intermittent fasting.
And that's brings us to
Well, not
what is
yet,
now
not yet.
the newest
Right,
controversy.
there's a controversy, but
Yes.
well, let's just break it
We're
down.
going to set you straight.
And we're
on
going to
it.
help you, yes.
Okay.
But first of all, intermittent fasting is simply refraining from eating for a period of time, usually 12 to 20 hours, generally. The most common is usually the 16/8 plan, in which you eat during an 8-hour period and you fast for 16 hours a day. And this is the most common for most people. There's also a 12-12 plan where you eat during a 12-hour period, you fast for 12 hours. There's also a 20/4 plan in which you eat in a 4-hour period, you fast for 20 hours. Those patients are usually patients on Ozempic or semaglutide or Mounjaro or tirzepatide, which is a appetite suppressant, is a diabetic medicine, but it helps a lot of people lose weight, and they're usually able to fast for 20 hours. And so,
Yeah, but you know, Don, during that 4 hours, many people gorge
but
themselves.
not so,
and they
not
think
so with these new diabetic meds.
Okay.
It's amazing. These meds literally affect the appetite center in the brain.
Oh, okay.
And they turn it way down and many times turn it off.
So you like these?
So these
like
meds are amazing.
Well,
these people, otherwise they would have to do a gastric sleeve or intestinal bypass. Now we can get similar effects with Mounjaro and some of these new medications for diabetes because it turns the appetite down so much. They're able to fast for about 20 hours a day, and literally the weight just falls off them,
I know.
especially if they're on the ketozone diet.
I'm sure people watching right now is just going, what? Dr. Colbert is saying we can take this meds. Listen, there's a balance here.
Yes,
You need to get the
but
balance.
for those are people that are morbidly obese, I don't put just everyone on these meds. But
Okay.
when a person is morbidly obese, and what's morbid obesity? It's a BMI greater than 35. It's greater than 35, which means these people are almost, over a third fat. And these people are at a much greater risk of heart disease, of heart attacks, of severe arthritis, of fatty liver, and all of the diseases, and diabetes especially, they're much greater risk. So in these patients, they should consider those type medications because it's almost like a silver bullet to help them lose weight. When they lose weight, their risk factors go down dramatically.
You know, the scriptures are very plain about this. This is biblically sound advice. The Bible says the man who is given to an appetite, and what that actually means is one who doesn't have the ability to control their appetite. It's better to put a knife to his throat. Now,
That's Proverbs. We don't.
That's in Proverbs.
That's
We're
not
saying,
literal.
Right. We're not saying that but they're making it as an example of an extreme that when you have no control over your appetite, it's okay to do some things that are absolutely necessary to help you do it. Whether it's surgery, we've seen people would say,
yeah.
This is the scripture that, listen, if you've got to do this, it's okay.
But Mary, much easier than surgery and with much fewer side effects are these new medications for diabetes. It's amazing, but again, if they have certain risk factors, they should of course avoid it, but that can be easily screened by most all doctors, and it's a medicine readily available. And so for
very
those that are
exciting.
morbid obese,
Yeah.
it's not a bad idea to consider that, but usually they can start with the Beyond Keto or ketozone diet, the healthy ketozone diet, which is a great starting place.
Be on the medicine and do the
Yes,
keto.
exactly.
That
That's
is
the
a
idea.
wonderful marriage right
It
there.
is, it's the best. And
Yeah.
that's what some of my patients that are morbidly obese are doing, and the weight is falling off of them.
Yeah.
Now again, a lot of my patients are losing it on their own without these meds, like
Right,
Wally.
right.
Lost it on his own without
Right,
the meds.
exactly.
So again, why are we doing intermittent fasting? Well, there's some amazing benefits to it. And these benefits have been confirmed. Number one, it helps one lose weight. And again, my brother Dan, he used to be 230 pounds, and he called me a few years ago and he said, what I do to lose this weight? And I said, just follow my Beyond Keto diet. And he followed it. He lost 20 pounds within a month or two, but he got stuck. He plateaued. He said when he got plateaued, he got frustrated, and he says, what do I do now? I said, well, you need to start implementing. First, you need to walk. Start walking daily for about 20, 30 minutes, 5 days a week. I said, also start practicing intermittent fasting. And so he started doing intermittent fasting. He got down to his weight within a month, and he's kept it there. And he now only does intermittent fasting a few days a week, but he's able to lock his weight in at that 200 pounds, his goal weight. And he feels great, and it's helped him tremendously.
And he doesn't feel denied, and he's having a life, and he's very happy and very healthy in that. But Don, intermittent fasting.
Well, there's 4 key things it does.
Okay,
But then I'm going to talk about a study that came out that literally caused
let's address the study, because
well, first, let me
it's
address,
out there on the internet.
I know, let me address the key
Okay,
things.
all right.
Number 1, it helps one to lose weight. Number 2, it improves brain function. Intermittent fasting improves brain function. The longer you do it, if it's like 16 hours and longer, it actually improves it more by boosting brain-derived neurotrophic factor and other things I'm going to talk about in just a minute. It also improves insulin resistance, and that's the whole root cause of obesity and prediabetes and type 2 diabetes is insulin resistance, as well as people with more belly fat tend to have more insulin resistance. And then finally, it usually boosts energy levels. Those are 4 key benefits, and we'll talk about a little bit more in more detail. But first of all, just 2 months ago, in March of 2024, a study came out, Mary. A study came out, new study came out.
A flawed
that I think
study.
is a very flawed study.
Right.
But what it says those that followed intermittent fasting and were eating in an 8-hour window and fasting for 16 hours had a 91% higher risk of death from heart disease. 91% higher risk. The participants in this study completed 2 24-hour dietary recall questionnaires. Now, the study lasted on average a median of 8 years. Now, in this 8 years, they just did 2 24-hour dietary recall.
Now, what that means, I want to simplify this. I like to simplify so people understand. When they interviewed these subjects that signed up for this test, they asked them in the interview, okay, over just 2 days in the last, how many years?
8 years.
8 years.
Of dietary intake.
Give us a sample of what your dietary intake was. Now, folks, I don't know about you.
That's a pitiful study.
But it's hard for me to remember what I ate last week. And they're trying to tell them over this interview, over 8 years, 2 days of what your average eating would be. That's just pitiful.
Okay, and that's just 2 24-hour food recall questionnaires. Now again, in the recall questionnaires, to recall the foods one's eaten in the last 24 hours, number 1. Number 2, the food preparation method. How was the food prepared? Number 3, the form of the food. Was it frozen, canned, or fresh? These are the questions they ask. Number 4, the type of food to clarify the sodium intake, as well as the fat and calories and how often salt was used. That's our criteria. It's more likely the patients in this high-risk group had poor eating habits, were consuming, probably gorging themselves with food during those 8 hours, and they probably had just a poor diet, most likely. But again, it's only 2 days of dietary intake out of 8 years. That's pitiful, Mary.
I know.
Now, again,
very flawed.
2 days of food recall the first year is not reflective of one's regular eating patterns. Right. That's the key. That's not a very good study. Now, also, correlation does not prove causation. And we will need more accurate studies and better studies in order to see if there's a cause and effect or if it's just a correlation. Now, let me explain. There's also research shows that you're more likely to drown if you've recently had ice cream. There's a study that showed that. Now, again, many would conclude that eating ice cream leads to drowning. But looking at closer, it reveals that people who eat ice cream on a hot day are more likely to swim on a hot day, and they're more likely to swim on a hot day, they're more likely to drown on a hot day. So there's a correlation, but there's no causation.
Right.
In fact, it's correlated, but it doesn't cause it.
Right.
The same thing is intermittent fasting may be correlated with heart disease, but it doesn't cause it. In fact, studies show that it does the opposite. It decreases our risk of obesity, it decreases inflammation, it decreases blood pressure, it decreases cholesterol and triglycerides and pretty much all the cardiovascular risk factors if done appropriately.
That is the key, if done appropriately.
Right.
So that's what we're
So
gonna
again,
try
I
to do.
think it's a very flawed study, and so many people are throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
That's why I say, you go to the internet to get your answers, you're going to get really confused.
Well, this was a study done from 2003 to, I believe, it's 2018. And again, it's not a very well designed study, just doing 2 24-hour dietary intakes, and that just 2 during the whole period of time of the study. That's crazy. That's not going to give you a pattern of their eating. It's going to just give you a little single snapshot. And so again, we're trying, there may be some correlation, but it's not causation, is the best way to look at it.
That's the bottom line, right there.
Now, let's look at the benefits of intermittent fasting, because the benefits tremendously outweigh the risk. The benefits are tremendous, Mary, and I practice intermittent fasting. It's one of the best things I've found for patients with brain fog, decreased mental clarity, with dementia, with Alzheimer's, with Parkinson's. It's absolutely amazing for these patients.
What's amazing to me is that from the intermittent fasting and fasting, they found that it actually eats up the amyloid that's in the
Yes,
brain.
it does.
So
And
which
that's
causes memory loss.
Yes, and we're going to talk about that in just a
Yeah,
minute. But
okay.
first, let's just talk about it helps with weight loss. And here's the study. And several years ago, the Molecular and Cellular Endocrinology Journal compared the results of 40 different intermittent fasting studies, 40. And they found that intermittent fasting works for losing weight. And that's the conclusion of 40 different studies on intermittent fasting. And again, the second benefit is improved brain function. So it helps with losing weight, but also brain function. Johns Hopkins School of Medicine professor Dr. Mark Mattson has done decades of research on the connection between fasting and how our brain functions. He's found that intermittent fasting helps the brain ward off both Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease.
Powerful.
It
That is so
also,
powerful.
he's found it improves the memory and the mood, both memory and mood, and that it protects the neurons against amyloid plaque buildup.
Which is what I was mentioning.
Now, another renowned neurologist, Dr. David Perlmutter, states, in the absence of calories, life-sustaining protective genes responsible for cellular repair and protection are activated. These protected genes are activated. Now listen to what they do. Inflammation is reduced, antioxidative defenses are increased, and this simply means that going without food for a while may have, number one, anti-aging effects, anti-inflammatory effects, and anti-tumor effects in the body.
That's incredible.
That's available to anyone at any time. Mary.
John, everybody should have this as their lifestyle.
I agree. He says also intermittent fasting stimulates the production of brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Now, this is a special protein that works like Miracle-Gro in the brain. Wow. It starts to restore the neurons, the synapses. It strengthens neural connections, especially in areas of memory and learning, especially in the hippocampus of the brain, where short-term memories are restored, and the prefrontal cortex, where long-term memories are restored. And it also protects the brains from Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. And that's by Dr. Perlmutter, one of the top neurologists in the world.
That's amazing. That's
and
amazing.
Benefit number 3, it improves insulin resistance. And so again, insulin resistance is the root cause of prediabetes and diabetes. And we talked about keto zone, how being in the keto zone helps to reverse insulin resistance. But we have an epidemic in this country, in the U.S., of both prediabetes and diabetes. Did you know that over 50% of the population in the U.S. is either diabetic or pre-diabetic?
Wait a minute.
Over 50% of the population in the U.S. is either pre-diabetic or diabetic.
We have a health crisis
We do.
coming down the track like a roaring train.
Listen,
My
type 2
goodness.
diabetes, do you know how many people are type 2 diabetic in this country?
Oh, I love
11.6% of our population. But do you know how many are pre-diabetic in our country? 40%. You add those together, And that's 51.6% are diabetic or pre-diabetic.
So almost
It's an
one
epidemic.
out of every 2 people.
And if we will just start intermittent fasting and following the keto zone, healthy keto diet, boom, we can reverse most of that. And if you have to, if you're morbidly obese, consider Mount Gero or semaglutide or Ozempic. I like Mount Gero.
You know, there's a scripture that comes to my mind. It says, having done all, stand. You know, people that are watching us right now in this program that are having all kinds of health problems and challenges with their health, if you would just, for the next 7 days, this just came to me, and I really believe it's from the Holy Spirit. For the next 7 days, get a journal, and I want you to write down everything you put in your mouth.
Amen.
Everything that you consume for 7 straight days. Don't lie.
And then calculate
to
the calorie content, how many calories you're consuming daily. You're going to see the majority of you are going to be consuming well over 2,000 or 2,400 calories a day. Women shouldn't be, to lose weight, should be on about 1,600 calories a day.
Let me tell you what this will do for you. It's going to do a couple of things.
Wake up call.
It's a wake-up call, but more importantly, what it does is it makes you really take a close look. Sometimes you do what we call mindless eating. When you do mindful eating, you're mindful of what you're eating, you make better choices as opposed to mindless eating, where you're just not even thinking about it. You're
Well,
sitting,
mindless eating is getting a big bowl of popcorn or a big bag of chips, tortilla chips, potato chips, and literally watching TV and just eating.
popcorn at
Yeah.
the movies, whichever.
Right.
There's all kinds of mindless eating that we are all guilty of. I know I am. But what you do is for 7 days, write down literally and keep an accurate journal. So then after a week, you can sit and go through the pages and see what you're consuming and what you're putting in. You know, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. God wants to bring you the right knowledge so that having done all, you stand. You have sickness in your body, you have illness in your body, you want to reverse it. Do you know the answer to most of your problems is what you're putting in your body? That's most of the problems.
And Mary, most
And they're making
people
the wrong
are using
choices.
the wrong choices
Yes.
to relieve their stress.
Yes.
They are using comfort foods as stress-relieving foods. Turn the news off, turn on the good news, laugh, get your 10 belly laughs at night. I get at least 20 at night before I go to bed, but turn on the good news.
I was talking to this one lady, and she ate pretty good. She was pretty clean, did the organic thing, but she was struggling with a lot of belly fat.
Mm-hmm.
And as I sat and talked to her, I found out she was a big wine drinker.
Oh, yeah.
She loved her wine at night, drinking,
Here
2
in
or 3
Texas,
glasses right
they
here.
love that,
They
yeah. They
drinking
wine
their
and dine.
wine and stuff.
They wind
And
down.
I told her, I said, you cut out that wine and
Right.
you're going to watch your belly shrink.
That's right.
Because that's pure sugar
Yeah.
you're putting in your body before you go to bed.
That's right.
And, so anything like that you're doing in excess, you need to sit and you need to journal it and look at it. And I'm not kidding. When I tell you she did nothing different than she cut out the wine she was drinking, she stopped it. Within 3 months, she lost over 30 pounds.
Wow.
She didn't do anything else but cut
I
out
think
the
she
wine
was drinking over 3 glasses. How
Well,
big were those glasses?
I don't know.
I
But
think a bottle a night.
She was eating healthy, organic healthy, and she was doing her workout, but she couldn't get rid of that belly fat.
And wine causes belly fat. So does alcohol.
Do you hear?
And so many
I
people
hope
are
you hear this.
bubble wrapped
I
with
know.
belly fat from all their wine and alcohol.
I can hear people through going, okay, they just pointed out my
But
problem.
people say, "Oh, a little wine's good for you." Well, not if you want. If you want belly fat, you better give it up.
Well,
you better
wine-
crucify your flesh.
When they said a little wine, they were talking about like 2 or 3 ounces.
like
and
a
that's
teaspoon,
It.
a teaspoon,
Not that,
an eyedropper.
that was not his intent. That was not,
Amen.
and there is some benefits to wine. We're not
Well,
discounting it.
again, on occasion, but rare.
Right.
Maybe Christmas or your
Or if you're
birthday
in a
little
foreign
bit.
country
Yeah,
and you're
yeah,
eating
sure.
chicken, wine is a great killer. It's
Well,
like
it kills the bad bugs in your
kills
guts. You don't
bad
get
bugs in
diarrhea.
it, so you don't get that
infectious diarrhea.
Montezuma
Right.
stuff.
But again,
It helps with that.
going back to, again, when you're doing intermittent fasting, Mary, it helps reverse insulin resistance, which is the root cause of diabetes and prediabetes. The body becomes resistant to insulin. Insulin no longer does the function that it needs, so the body ramps up increased production of insulin, trying to get that sugar inside the cells. As a result of increased insulin, increased weight gain.
Right.
And so you're stuck in a vicious cycle until eventually the sugar's not getting out of the blood into the cells, and so you get these weird symptoms. All of a sudden, you start to urinate. All of a sudden, you're thirsty. You're real thirsty. These are signs you're diabetic, and a lot of you are out there and you're getting increased thirst, increased urination. Your sores don't heal well, your poor wound healing, you're very fatigued, then you start to lose weight, then you get blurred vision. That's a major sign you got diabetes. Listen to me. And then all of a sudden you get sores and in your mouth or sores in your genital areas with itching, and that's yeast.
Wow.
Yeast, when you have too much sugar in your body, yeast grows, especially where it's moist and dark and lots of sugar. And so people start to get fungus and yeast in their growing area, and then they're diabetic. And they go to their doctor and they say, "You're diabetic." That's impossible. There's no diabetes in my family. But you got a belly fat. Women over 35 inches around the navel, men over 40 inches, you're insulin resistant and you're most likely pre-diabetic. And that's where we're at. Because over 50% of us are pre-diabetic or diabetic, but around 75% are obese or overweight. We have an epidemic and we can stop it. Intermittent fasting is one way. The second way is getting in the healthy keto zone, following the keto diet.
Yep.
Simple. But other problems, again, what intermittent fasting does, it boosts the energy levels. When one practices intermittent fasting, the most amazing system is stimulated in the body. It's called autophagy. It means self-eating. The body goes in self-repair mode in which the body starts to get rid of denatured or abnormal proteins. Also, it clears out age-old worn-out cells. It also clears out accumulated cellular waste. It literally is like a self-cleaning oven. Back when I was a young kid, my mother used to have Saturdays about every 3 to 6 months, and she would pick a Saturday to clean out the oven. And she would be scraping out all of this old black charred material out of there. And she'd spray the spray in there and clean it out. But then years later, they developed the self-cleaning ovens, where literally you turn the oven on and it cleaned up all that gook. Well, our body undergoes a similar process when we're fasting, and it unleashes a process called autophagy, in which all these denatured abnormal proteins are literally burned out of the system.
That is so powerful.
They're self-digested.
Yeah.
Old cells, senescent cells that could go into cancer are destroyed.
Yeah.
It literally has anti-tumor effects. And then its cellular trash is eliminated. Now what happens then is the mitochondria, every cell in the body has mitochondria that produces energy. The energy currency that's produced is in the form of ATP. The ATP, the more ATP that your mitochondria generate, the more energy you have. When you clean out that cellular trash and clutter and old denatured protein and old aged senescent cells, all of a sudden those mitochondria start firing it and they start producing energy in the form of ATP. And all of a sudden the mind gets sharper, the mind's clear because all of that trash is cleared out of the mind. The body gets more energy, the muscles respond better, everything works better, brain fog lifts, energy increases, and you are experiencing the benefits of autophagy. Isn't that amazing, man, how it works? It's kind of like this. It's kind of like we had some rose bushes. They got all these old dead limbs on them, and the old roses were, the roses.
Hindering the new to come.
Yes, so I went out there and I took my clippers and I clipped off all those old sucker branches, dead limbs. I put fertilizer on it and it got tremendous amount of water, and all of a sudden those ugly rose bushes that were just old ugly roses on them, they are beautiful now, full and blossoming and just gorgeous. And that's similar to what happens when we practice intermittent fasting.
Ooh, I like the picture that you have painted there. That's
rose
good.
bushes blooming,
yes.
where literally the energy comes forth, the brain-derived neurotrophic factor is released, and it's like miracle growth for the brain. The brain is stimulated. We start to learn like we did when we were a kid. But the key is the energy that's released. And my grandbaby Timmy, he's the youngest. He just turned 11. But when he was 3 years of age, we were at Target. I don't know if you remember this, when he was 3. And Timmy's always in a hurry. When we go to Target, he used to use that little arm, and he would go with his elbows. He'd be in a hurry.
Swing
And, and we'd go headed for the
ain't
toy
going.
department. But it was so
Little
funny.
engine, yeah.
One day we were there, and he got behind this old man in a walker. And Timmy got so frustrated, he was going, And I said, what's the matter, Timmy? He says, that old man, he's slower than a turtle. He says, hurry up. He wanted to get to the toy department. And
Why
so
are you going so slow?
He said to that old man, why are you moving so slow? And that man turned around, he said, son, I'm old. I have no energy. And Timmy was 3, and he had all this energy. This man had no energy. And he says, why do you have to be so old and so slow? He says, son, that's what happens when we get old. You get slow and you don't move fast.
And so Papa tells Timmy later to the side, said, Timmy, that really isn't true. You really don't have to be that way.
That's right.
And that's the point.
That's
that
the
Dr.
point.
Colbert is you don't
have to be that way.
You can grow, you can age, but you don't have to grow old.
When you intermittent fast, you literally stimulate autophagy, and your body is renewed like the eagles, like it says in Psalms.
Mary Colbert said, you can age, but you don't have to grow old. And
Amen.
You can quote me on that.
That's true.
Listen, join us with our 21-day Keto Zone Challenge.
Amen.
We have a 21-day challenge. Now, to join up, you just go into the ketozone.com/challenge. You sign in, and then you can join our Facebook group.
Yes.
And when you do, you're going to be a part of over 10,000 plus people in there sharing stories, tips, and ideas. It's just a wealth.
It's your support group.
Yeah, and we
support you.
We can't put in a book what you can get from being a part of these groups, because it's volumes and volumes and volumes of information. But we're doing all kinds of things to hopefully support you and your achievement of good health. We want you to walk in divine health. Go to our website, drcolbert.com. We have all these products to assist and help you. We're trying to think of everything we can, but you have to do it. Bottom line, you have to do it.
Amen.
We're here to support you in any way we can, bringing you the most current information. Share this video with your friends and families. That you can help us do. Spread the good word, spread the good news. And remember, it's God's will. It is God's will. If you don't know that, you need to know that.
Amen.
It's God's will that you walk in divine health.
Amen.
God bless you.
God bless you.
Until next time.